Oh, hello, everybody. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. And hello, Instagram. It is 1 o'clock on a Monday. What are we doing here at 1 o'clock on a Monday? This is a very odd show for us to have, but we have an exceptionally special guest. This month, we are talking to our featured designer, Rachel Rossi. And of course, I am joined by my favorite sidekick.
Hi.
Hi, Dominic. Dominic, are you the boy who sews?
Yes.
You've been known to sew a few things, yes. And so he is joining me today because he is on spring break or summer break. Oh my gosh. What month is it? Jiminy crickety, huh?
So it's August.
Stop. If it was August, it'd be time for you to go back to school, smart Alec. All right.
Almost.
So we are here today. We're going to be talking to Rachel in just a minute, but I want to give everyone kind of some background as to why is Rachel joining me today? So every month, Cotton Cuts picks a different independent pattern designer to feature in our boxes. This is someone who you might have seen, you might have crossed paths with, who might be new to you, but is someone who's doing really awesome, creative, and inspiring things. And we want to be able to give them a platform to get all their information in front of us so we can be inspired by them and learn something new. And so every classic and modern maker member will receive a free pattern from our featured pattern designer this month. And so we always give everyone an opportunity to join us live and learn more about someone pretty cool. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready too. All right. So we always have technical difficulties when we do this, whenever we simulcast. So I'm going to ask everyone to give us just a half a second grace when we get all of the audio sorted on all these devices, because we're going to live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. So with that, we're going to introduce Rachel. Come on over, Rachel. If you are on YouTube and on Facebook, you can see Rachel. So Rachel, I am going to see about inviting you to join us on the Instagram. I see you. I'm going to invite you. Now, this is where things go off the rails, gang, and we start having sound issues. And let's get all that done. All right. I can see Rachel on Instagram. So we're good on visuals, right? We're good on visuals?
Yeah.
It's the audio where we've got a little bit of a problem. So Rachel, make sure everything is muted. Yes, it's okay. That happens literally every time. And so it's interesting because on Instagram, the audio settings you have do not carry over.
Oh, isn't that fun?
I know, right? So as soon as you go live, you have to reset all the audio stuff again.
Okay. Is that better? Nope.
Still got a little bit of feedback. All right, so Dominic, what's that? Oh yeah, don't forget to, Rachel, just keep them a little distant. That also helps as well. So Dominic, why don't you tell us a joke? You got a good joke you can share with everyone while we're getting it all set up? Oh, did I put you on the spot?
Yeah. Okay.
Huh?
I need a joke.
Oh,
No pressure.
The block that he sewed, I think, is over on the table over there. Okay, so we're gonna see here. We could dance to the song. Boop, 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 boop. All right, so so while we're waiting to get the audio sorted, and Rachel, take your time. This happens every time. Like, this is not a big deal at all. Okay, so this is a block that Dominic sewed. Dominic, tell us about this block.
All right. So in our new program, the Floral States of America, each month you are going to get 5 blocks, and each of those blocks that you can sew is designed to look like the state flower for
It includes the fabric from the state flower.
Yes.
Yes.
So this one was New Jersey, and the state flag for New Jersey is the common violet. So we have a lot of colors that look a lot like the the flower and lots of
things. Okay, so I am being told that we might be the problem. So let's see. We are muted everywhere. All right, let's try again. I think we can still hear a little bit of an echo. So let me turn the volume way down on a lot of stuff here. All right, Rachel, try again. Let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we saw some echo. Oh,
there's echoes. There's echo on both sides. It's not just her.
Agreed. All right. So on your cell phone, your audio is completely down. Your incoming audio is completely down.
Yes.
Rachel, do you have the ability to put on headphones for audio that's coming out on your side? Is that something that you can do so you can hear us?
I think I can do that if you give me a second.
My phone is always the way it's always been.
Maybe something's changed when you went live.
No. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so it's a little better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, just give us a minute here. As always, we have technical difficulties whenever we try and do something really, really, really cool.
Bum, bum, bum,
What we can do, hey, Paula.
bum, bum, bum.
Paula's gone. All right, so Paula is gone. So what we are going to do is for everyone on Instagram, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the interview here and we are going to rebroadcast it later, just because that's usually the problem is we've got lots of devices catching audio. So if you are watching us on Instagram right now, I am so very sorry, but we're going to go ahead and cut that feed and then we will repost this interview for everybody on Instagram later. And you'll get to see, you know, I'm sure entertaining, witty things from this goober on my left.
I made a joke. You can just fast forward to that bit and then rewind.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So if you're on Instagram, we're going to let you go and we're going to continue talking with Rachel. So let's go here. All right, Rachel, we actually cut the Instagram feed so we would end that echo and she has gone to find headphones. All right, so kiddo, so tell us, what is your summer looking like so far? You're a week and a half into summer. What are you doing?
Lots of sports.
So tell us about the lots of sports you're doing.
I'm on a swim team, so every morning right early at 7 a.m. I have to get in the pool. That's freezing. And that's been great.
So Rachel, what we did is we went ahead and we cut the Instagram feed, so we eliminated all the echo. So you should be good to go now.
Okay. I did find headphones. Do you want me or just not even mess with it?
No,
Okay.
we're just rolling with it, right? This is the we just make it up as we go category. All right, so let me take the phone down since we don't need that anymore. Okay, so Rachel, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you this afternoon?
Doing well. Excited to be here.
So Rachel, I'm going to start with my first question that I love to ask everybody. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us your background, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us how you got here. Tell us your, I mean, I was reading your card and I am fascinated, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Well, I have been sewing since I was a kid, so it's really fun that Dominic's on here. That's awesome. I started sewing when I was 3. I begged my mom to teach me to use a sewing machine, and she was like, you're 3. We're going to start with hand sewing. So I remember I would cut up her floral scraps that was under the kitchen table while she was sewing, with my little needle, making skirts that just fell apart. And that's kind of how it all started. She let me try things. Later down the road in middle school, I learned to quilt from my grandmother. And then shortly after that, my mom learned to quilt and actually opened a quilt store. So it's fun. I always tease her that I knew how to quilt first.
I know it's interesting that you learned hand sewing first. Yes. And then quilting, because hand sewing is usually the harder skills. But oh my gosh, that's fantastic. All right.
It was more of a safety problem as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, she opened a quilt shop and then I fell in love with the community. And she let me be as involved as I wanted. So I sat with her while she ordered fabric from sales reps, and I ended up teaching classes when I was in high school. And it was just a really great experience. And I just loved that it was more than just a hobby. It was a real community that kind of built up around this art. And it became something I really wanted to be a part of and preserve and innovate. And I'm here.
So does your mom still have the quilt shop?
So she actually passed away a couple of years ago and the shop closed then. But yeah, it was a thriving business and it was really fun. I have a newspaper article from the first week they opened. And it's so funny. There's one collection of fabric in there. They bootstrapped the whole thing. And I'm pretty sure it was just supported by my grandmas and aunts and me, all just buying fabric we didn't need. Because then they would just build little by little. And it was just packed out. She outgrew her space so quickly. So it was really neat to watch the business grow.
I'm having visions of you when you're Rachel's age, giving an interview like this and telling a story about your mom's business and being there and bootstrapping it and being the one to pack all the boxes. Rachel, this is I love stories like this. This is awesome. Okay, And you got to teach classes. So tell us how that experience was as a teenager teaching classes to adults. Like tell us all that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So I started out teaching kids.
Okay.
So I would do high school classes, and we were in central Pennsylvania, so it was more traditional style fabrics were more popular. So they would like order in a couple SKUs of like, crazy teenager stuff for us. So it all started out with teenagers, and we met weekly. And we would do smaller projects. I think we ended on like the last class we ever did was a quilt. Because smaller projects were just like what we had time for and patience for.
Yes.
And then, phased into adults. And that's always a little intimidating. I'm honestly still intimidated a little bit because a lot of the people I teach are older than me. And so, but it's a good push, like personal kind of push to be like, no, I know what I'm talking about. And it creates a kind of grace between us because like they have experience that I don't have and I have experience that they don't. So I always make it clear in my classes, like, hey, we all come from different backgrounds and have different levels of experience. A lot of mine is like, I like to figure things out and I don't like to look them up. So like, I have a lot of things that didn't work, but like, I know why and the how and how, but I also have new ideas on how to do things as well. So yeah, it's an interesting balance, but it always seems to
I've always said you learn more from your mistakes than your successes, right? That if you get like an internship or you make a mistake, like you always learn more from the mistakes than you do from the successes, and those are always opportunities to do better. And I've always learned like what not to do, right? Like, okay, I'd rather learn what not to do than have everything go perfectly and not know the guard.
right.
And I love that you're teaching all ages, right? So I feel like sometimes if someone's older than me, then they must know more than I do. And it's just, yes, they probably know more than I do on some topics, but at the same time, I have information that we can all share and learn together with. And I feel like that community of we all can learn from each other and we can all do better together is fantastic.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Have you taught people new stuff? Diversity helps. Yes. Goon. Okay. All right. So you're pattern designing now. So that's the next phase of kind of your quilting evolution. So tell us, how did you get into pattern designing?
So I actually got into it at my mom's shop. I would write patterns. I don't know if anyone ever bought them. Part of me just wonders if she like snuck around and like bought them and didn't tell me. But so I used to design like little bag thing, like little simple projects for in her shop. And then I went off to college and actually went to school for interior design. And I did that for a couple of years. And I was like, I just loved writing patterns. And so I kind of phased out of the interior design and started writing a couple patterns, and I really fell in love with it. My real goal was to get into fabric design, and so I started all this in like 2015 officially, and I just like fell in love with pattern designing. I love all the math and the figuring and like just creating something that's not been done before. And so I kind of like got sidetracked on patterns until this year. So I'm just getting into fabric design now. But yeah, it was always my intention to kind of get my foot in the door with patterns and then move into fabric.
Oh my gosh. So a couple things to unpack with that. So tell us, what is your favorite type of pattern design? Like, what's your aesthetic? Where do you find the most joy in new patterns?
Well, so I do a little bit of everything. And that is where the joy is for me, because I don't like consistency or schedules. Like I like to change things up. I really enjoy foundation paper piecing.
Yeah.
I think, and that's part of my, like, I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. So that would probably be my favorite right now, because it's really versatile. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. And like every step is different.
Well, and I feel like foundation paper piece patterns, it's more about the sequencing of which pieces and trying to figure out like, okay, if I do 1, 2, 3, and 4, everything will open up and lay correctly in the right direction. And that is fun. That's more exciting than put two pieces together, press in a certain direction, put two pieces together, press in a certain direction. Sequencing, because you've been with me, like the Batman, right? The having to sequence like what piece can go to the next one. That is a challenge. And when it works out, you're like, whoo, okay, pattern designed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so tell us about your fabric collection that's being released.
So I just started working with Bannertex this year, and it's available to shops now. So if you have a favorite quilt shop, tell them like, hey, check out Rachel Rossi's new line. It's called Bee Haven,
Okay.
and it will be in shops this fall. And it's just based on all kinds of like pollinator favorites. So coneflowers, lavender, clover, like kind of just wildflowers that,
Yeah.
everybody loves.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. We're doing something new. We're printing on unbleached cotton. So
So tell us the difference between bleached and unbleached cotton. Educate all of us.
Oh, sure. So pretty much any fabric that you are going to be using in your quilting has been bleached before it's been printed on. And the reason we wanted to try unbleached was to do something like a more eco-friendly step that is cost effective. So it's not organic, but it is certified non-toxic, which is awesome. And so the reason why having an unbleached fabric is like eco-friendly is because you're saving like hundreds of thousands of gallons of water by skipping that bleaching process. It is like shocking if you look up the statistics, just how much it's usually talking in terms when they're doing their research of like how much water it takes to make a t-shirt. It's like 6,000 gallons. It's like nuts because they have to do the bleaching, they have to rinse it out, and then they have to like clean all that water. And so the unbleached is really, really exciting for us. I really wanted to do something that would not just be beautiful, but also like helpful to the world.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited that.
So tell us, like, what design considerations did you have to put in, right? So I love the eco-friendly approach to this.
Mhm.
But what sort of design considerations do you have to put in place that other designers might not have to if they're using traditionally bleached cotton?
Yeah, it was different. So white is not white anymore because you are now working on something that you can't print white. And so your white is now a cream, which was interesting because like I'm more modern. And so we like our bright whites. And
Yeah.
so I had to take just that background color being cream into consideration from the start, because to get a modern look like without white is actually a little tricky because it tends to look a little more country when you're working with cream as your base.
Yeah.
And so that was something from the start. And then also when it's unbleached, you're getting it's almost like a freckle from the little pieces of cotton seed that are left in there, which I love. I was like, I hope these are huge. And so it just turned out to be like this nice little freckle effect. But you have to take that texture into consideration as well, so that it's not fighting with textures that you're designing into the fabric.
Yeah, no, Dominic and I are full of freckles. We get the freckle concept. Yeah, so it's little slubs that are left behind in the unbleached that normally bleach right out. I remember the first time I was like, oh my gosh, like we're like looking, we're like, what are all these black dots? Like, oh my gosh, it's all, and it's not. It's just because it's unbleached, and so those are there actually all the time, but there's a lot of processing that goes in to get them completely out. So I love that you're able to integrate that into your fabric design too, and kind of use it. I know a lot of people, when they're designing fabrics, they want the computer image to be exactly what comes out on the fabric. And there's a little bit of a trade-off for you here. And so that's really cool that you were able to make that change. So the fabric collection is in stores now. Do you have a second one coming? Is there more coming?
Yep, I'm working on a second line right now with a totally different vibe, like very neutral. So the first line, Bee Haven, is very bright, very vivid, and the second line is very neutral, calming. So it's fun to kind of have both of my personalities in there.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Is that going to be with sales reps and then at market? Like, tell us about kind of the timing for all that.
So if you're a shop owner or going to be at market, you will see it this fall at Quilt Market.
That is awesome. That's so exciting. I love fabric design. Like I could talk about fabric design for forever. So, and so did you design specific patterns to go with your fabric collections? Because that's all part of the process that a lot of people don't know, is that there's the fabric, but then there's also the people that design the patterns to be used with your fabric.
Yes. Yeah. So there are a couple designers that hopped in to do some of those like more promotional quilt designs so that you can see all of the fabrics, but I designed 4 new patterns, which is wild for me. I usually I try to do 4 a year. And so 4 for like a 6-month period is a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Yeah, so I think that's the part that general quilters don't understand is they think it's really cool. Like she designed a fabric collection. That's awesome. She sat at a computer and designed stuff up. But there's so much that goes with that. Like you have to design the patterns, you have to make the patterns, you have to have quilts that can go into shops and be used for trunk shows. Like it is not just getting to sit at a computer and like you're done. It's literally a lot of work that has to go into it.
So I noticed earlier you said you like math, and I like math. You like math, and I think we actually have somebody who's watching this whose name is Math Geek.
Math Geek. And so we've talked about this before, where there's a lot of like engineering and science that goes into quilting because there's that intersection between art and science. And there is a lot of math that goes into actual quilting. It is geometry in action in textile form.
It is all geometry.
All right. So what's your favorite pattern, Rachel? This is one of those ones I always like to hear. Like some people, it's like the hardest one I designed. Some people, it's the first. Someone, it's an emotional connection. Tell us your favorite pattern that you've ever designed.
That's so hard. Oh man. They're like, it's so funny when I do a trunk show, I feel like I often am like, oh, this is my favorite. Oh, actually, no, this was my favorite. Like, so
you like them all. I mean, if you
like
design them, it's hard not to like them all.
Yeah.
Right. If I didn't like them, why would I make them? I think my favorite right now is Hover. And that is one with, it's got hummingbirds made out of like Dresden plates on it. And I think it's my favorite because I've loved the rainbow everything for so many years now. And a lot of my patterns are really like 2-color quilts and really simple. And so this one I got like the pattern requires 36 different fabrics to make these wings. And it's great for a fat 8th bundle. And I think it's my favorite because it's my most like kind of Art Deco vibe that I've done. And I got to do the rainbow. So it's kind of, I feel like I started really hitting, like I found my style in the past 2 years, like just really like, it's just me and people are like, oh, that's Rachel. And so I think this is like the epitome of my style right now. So
that has to be the highest praise is it's like they look at something that you've made and they know you made it.
Yes.
Right. And that it represents you and it's your authentic self. That is an accomplishment.
Yeah, because they have to know you enough and know the way you do things in order to just recognize it immediately.
That is exciting.
So Rachel, where do you find inspiration? So you've already told us like color and 2-color and natural pollinators. Where do you find all your inspiration from?
So a lot of my designs are nature inspired. Like that's so easy. The world is like just an amazing place. So it's really easy to just like walk outside and be inspired. Yeah.
Keep going.
That's fine. Like one of my patterns is a snail, and I designed that after like I found a snail in my garden and just like watched him for a while. And so like nature's an easy one and probably one of my favorites because it's just infinite inspiration. But I feel like I find it everywhere. I have a huge like notes file on my phone and my computer of like a tile that I saw one time or something I saw on the History Channel or like it's really everywhere.
I am the same way. And I'm always like, I'll be riding a train in Chicago and we'll drive by a building and I'm like, oh my God. Or like I'll go into a museum and I'll see some, and it'll be like the mosaic on the floor. And I'm like, yes, that is going to be a quilt someday. And I am the same. It's a collection of all these ideas and inspiration. Yeah. But I love nature. And so we used to on Cotton Cuts do pictures that should be quilt. And some of the coolest pictures would be like, if you zoom in really close on like a snake skin, like the repetition that happens in nature naturally is just, it's very cool. You get a lot of movement when you zoom in really close. And so I think it's very awesome.
Yeah. Nature is amazing.
Yes. Your favorite animal is a snake. So yes. Have you ever like zoomed in on a snake skin for inspiration?
I like the snake. I don't like the skin that much.
True. Okay. I can understand that. All right. So Rachel, who do you admire in the quilting industry? You've been around this since you were teeny tiny. Who do you admire and are like, oh my gosh, that person is awesome?
So growing up, I mean, still she's awesome. She's a little more of a lifestyle person now, but Amy Butler was my hero growing up. I wanted to be her. I feel like I watched her career too. It was like I kind of watched her grow as like my mom's shop grew. And that was always like her collections. I was like, Mom, please get these for the teenagers. So Amy Butler's always been a big inspiration for me. And I still follow along with what she's doing and just her, I don't know, her sense of design and her like just artistic skill just blows me away.
She was kind of the first person that I really was like, oh, there are people that do quilting. Like she is a brand, and you would see like her logo on all these things. She was the first time I really connected that like there's designers in here that can do really high-end, very cool stuff. I remember I went through that like that realization phase, and of course it's very different now. Like everyone has their own, it's amazing. It's crazy. All right. Do you want to ask her question here?
Yeah. What future projects are you working on? What are you currently designing?
So she's doing the fabric collection, but what else?
We heard about the fabric collection.
Yeah. What else?
So I'm working on, let me think, because the fabric one is like all consuming for a little bit here, but I have lots of big plans. That's the problem, is all these ideas.
I don't know what you're talking about at all. I focus on one thing and get it done beginning to end. Yes, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. No squirrels.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of squirrels in this brain. I am working on a block of the month for next year. I did a block of the month for the first time last year, and it was a blast. But that's a huge project. So I'm working on a 6-month version next year that'll go along with my second fabric line coming out in the spring.
Block of the half of the year.
Block of the half of the year. Yeah.
So that's a big project. And I'm also working on a longer term book on quilting with kids, actually. So I have 3 daughters. My oldest is 7, and she's already on her 2nd or 3rd quilt. And so I'm kind of drafting this book with the first kid, and then I'm going to see if my second kid wants to sew. Going to probably redraft with her personality and number 3 as well. So,
all right. So I want to hang on that for a little bit. So as someone who has taught children how to quilt, what advice can you give people for teaching small children how to quilt?
So my first piece of advice, and it's honestly teaching any age to quilt, is start small. Start on a small project that they can finish. Because it's you want that sense of accomplishment, like whether you are 10 or 50, like you want to know that you can do it before you commit to doing it more. So starting small is always key. And it's hard because beginners always also like they want to finish, but they also want to do like the coolest thing they ever saw.
This legit kits, like 300 piece paper piecing. Can I make this, please? Yeah.
Or you could do this.
So finding a good balance there, I think, is probably the biggest thing. And then just having the right tools to keep everybody safe. I know for my daughter, the first thing I did was get a sewing machine foot that had a finger guard on it. So that I didn't have to scare her. I still teaching her to be careful where to put her hands, but like we didn't have to be like, don't do that, like every 2 seconds.
I feel like it's like learning how to drive. They should have the sewing teacher emergency brake pedal that you can like put that'll shut down the whole machine if something like that happens. Yeah, I feel like there's an idea. Go figure out how to do that.
There you go.
All right, market it.
Get on it.
So Dominic, as someone who's writing a book on how to teach children how to quilt, what is your single piece of advice that you would use?
Be patient.
That's good.
He's known as the boy who sews at Cotton Cuts, and he's always like, guys, be patient, enjoy the process. Like there's no rush, there's no clock, there's no race here. So
that's awesome. That's good advice for all of life.
Yeah. Well, I think my favorite as well when teaching newbies and children is that when you sew something, oftentimes it's the adult that's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Right. It's the kid is just so proud that, I mean, even something like this, like I sewed this. Well, what are you going to do with it? And I feel like that external pressure of like, it has to have a function kind of takes away a little bit of the accomplishment too. And so I'm always just like, yay, we sewed something really cool. It doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't matter. We made something pretty. And that is enough to be celebrated, yes?
Mm-hmm. Oh, a comment got pinned.
Oh, a
It's
comment went.
from So Terry. It says, I also put a finger guard on my machine when teaching my granddaughter. She had no fear to begin with, so the guard was a must.
No fear. I feel like that's what we taught when we started talking, right? That you learn from mistakes, right? They haven't made that mistake to know that needle will go through their fingers. Yes,
Right.
it is not going to stop. This is not the safety scissors that won't cut your hair. Look,
Right.
hey, so Terry says you're inspiring as well.
Yay!
Woohoo! You're doing great
Thank
today.
you.
You're doing something right.
I'm not colossally messing up.
All right. So, Rachel, those are all the questions that we typically have for our featured designers. Thank you so much for jumping on this crazy train cotton cuts bus with us. So, Rachel, how can people find you? How can they learn more about you? Follow with your fabric collections. Tell us how they can find you.
Sure. So you guys can find me at rachelrossi.design. It's not .com, it's .design. And also on Instagram or Facebook at Designs by RR.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. So to recap, so this is Rachel's featured designer card. Woohoo! You can read more about her and her fantastic start and her mom's quilt shop, which I am super inspired about. It was awesome. And then these are the 5 patterns that Rachel has chosen to share with our audience. So if you remember the classic or the modern maker, you can jump online. Which one's your favorite? I like cover actually on the
Cover's really good.
cover is awesome. Okay, look at the
told
bear.
you.
Yeah.
Look at the little bear on
Oh,
the tree.
I see a snail one. Is that the one that you talked about?
Ah, the snail that was inspired by nature.
I like timber. It has a cute bear, and that settles it for me.
Yes.
He's a fan favorite.
Oh my goodness, Rachel, thank you so much for your time today. It was an absolute pleasure. I am inspired, as I hope most of our folks are that are watching.
Well, thank you both for joining me. I was really excited to have Dominic on here too. So that's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys. For everyone that's still with us, we are going to be Thursday, 9:30. We will be our regular live. We'll have lots of awesome content, including we're going to be talking about batting and different batting choices for your fabric. So you will want to join us 9:30, same place. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you, Rachel, and happy sewing.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.